Cincinnati. He's going to have a big week. All right, there's wide receivers that, but these are guys you plug in every week anyway, not because they make a top 5 list. These are guys that you always have in. So Steve Smith, T.O., Brandon Marshall, obviously, is going to have a nice week, as always. But, I mean, like I said, that's easy. These are the top 5 guys in the league. Greg Jennings, but Aaron Rodgers may not be playing. He practiced today, I read. He handed the ball off. He didn't make any throws. 0 throws today. So it's still yet to be seen what's going on with Aaron Rodgers and his strained or sprained shoulder, whatever they're calling it. That's his throwing arm. That's his throwing arm. All right, not exactly what you want to have dinged up. And if you have Greg Jennings, which I do, it's a little scary. It makes you a little uneasy, and it might bump him out of a top 5 if I were to put one together. Another guy who always is a must start, Indianapolis wide receiver, obviously Reggie Wayne. You obviously want to always have Reggie Wayne in. So it's your usual cast of characters in the top 5 at receiver. I didn't bother ranking them because after that, it's a toss-up. I mean, it really is. There's no one you can really put in there. Chad Johnson hasn't been performing. Braylon Edwards hasn't been performing. Plaxico Burress is suspended. Torrey Holt hasn't been performing. Like, all the guys that would normally be up there, they just aren't doing it. All right, Anquan Bolden may not even play. Larry Fitzgerald is obviously a start every week, but Anquan Bolden nearly got killed last night. Did anybody see that? He almost died, I thought. He got his bell rung something hardcore. But they're saying now he may not even have a concussion. All his tests are coming back just fine. But they still, from what I've read and what I understand, they still will probably hold him out this week coming up. So Larry Fitzgerald always, though, a must start. But, guys aren't performing. Tom Brady goes down. Randy Moss isn't the player he's supposed to be. It's not coming together. It's not happening for the receivers this year. And it's really, really made it hard, for guys like me to pick. Andre Johnson has been solid, but not dynamic. He's not off to the start he got off to last year. So who do you pick? I mean, really, who do you pick? You give me those top 5 guys I just said, but I can throw those guys in there every week. So why put a list together for you guys? Because it's a crapshoot. You never know. This whole season's been really. I mean, just who? I don't know. That guy? Who's that? That's this whole season's been crazy to me. It's crazy. And for that reason, I didn't pick any bust players this week. Or letdowns, as I like to call them. Not a big fan of busts. You got to be. There's certain guys that you just have to watch matchups. If Roethlisberger's your quarterback, know that he's been getting killed on a week-to-week basis and really, really beaten down by opposing defenses. And this week, he is on the road at Jacksonville. Pittsburgh just has a brutal schedule. If you go and look through every single game, they're playing some super ultra-aggressive defense that is getting after Roethlisberger and making his life a living hell. And this week will be no different. I mean, at Jacksonville, that is a tough game, especially when you come off of a Monday night dogfight against Baltimore. It's going to be rough. Pittsburgh's beat down. It's hard to really pick a lead. I mean, you can look as well as I can and see who has tough matchups. You have to watch out for Brian Westbrook. He's practiced a little, but still hasn't been fully back in the mix. So you have to keep your eye on those kind of guys. Don't get too excited about Larry Johnson. I keep saying that to my friend Diggs, who I traded him Larry Johnson. Now he thinks he has fantasy gold because he went off for 2 great games after that. I tried to explain to him that Denver is 24th in the league at stopping the run. Not good at all. I mean, they can't stop anybody on the ground. So don't read too much into LJ's recent performance. No, the week before last against Atlanta, where I know he ended up with a nice day stat-wise, but he broke like an 85-yard run for a touchdown. And other than that, he was racking up nearly 1.5 yards per carry. So don't get too excited about LJ. He will disappear when you run into tough defenses, much like Michael Turner from Atlanta. All right, they're all on the same lines. These guys will shred a weak defense, or, there's that slight chance that they break a home run against a good defense, which Atlanta is not by any means a good defense, but they were that day. They were stopping Larry Johnson except for that one run. So there's certain guys that, buy low, sell high guys, and Larry Johnson is a sell high guy right now. He's turned in his best performance of the year. Mark my words. He's just turned that in. So you can probably ship him off and get some good value now because people think that the old LJ is back. When in actuality, he was out there playing against a couple scout team defenses pretty much. And he still barely got it done against Atlanta. Take away that 80-yard run, Larry Johnson has 50 yards that game. 50 yards, which looks a lot more like week 1 and 2. Trust me. Trust me. I'm 1 and 3. I know what I'm talking about. All right. A couple sleepers to look for. A couple guys you may want to pick up in your leagues if they're still sitting there. A guy named Steve Breston. He's the third receiver in Arizona, and he will be getting Anquan Bolden's looks if Bolden doesn't play, which, like I said, he's not expected to. If you can pick up Steve Breston this week, they're playing Buffalo, who's has a good record, but their defense isn't as good as their record shows. If you look, they're against the pass, I believe they're 24th in the league. So they're letting some yards through the air. Arizona's certainly able to rack up passing yards, regardless of how many times they turn the ball over. If Kurt Warner's throwing the ball 60 times, you know somebody's got to catch those balls. Steve Breston is a good pickup and a good play this week, assuming Anquan Bolden doesn't play. And another guy to look at, Lance Moore, a kid from New Orleans. And this guy's stepping in, and he's been great. In the last couple of weeks, he's racked up, I think, over 160 yards and a couple touchdowns. He's become the only target Drew Brees really has. I mean, Shockey's down, Colston's down. I don't even know what's going on with Henderson or Meacham. I don't even know what's happening with these guys. But I know that Lance Moore has emerged as a guy that can get things done as a receiver in New Orleans. So pick him up if you get a chance, if he's still there. I mean, what jackass is calling me right now? But I'm doing this on the air. Diggs, what are you doing? Oh, yeah? Because I'm doing a show, dude. I'm like 20 minutes in, right in the middle of a show. Oh, I'm on the air right now. Just answered the phone. Yeah. There it is. I was like, who? I'm like, what jackass in their right mind would call me right now, knowing full well I'm doing a show? And I'm like, Doug. All right, I got to get out of here. See ya. Yeah. I had to tell you. I mean, come on. I worked all day with this kid, and he knew full well I was coming home to do a show, and he calls me up. I'm like, okay, I'll just answer on the air. Our friend Fast Eddie just hopped into the chat room. I just kind of wrapped the show up. Eddie, is there any lineup questions, anything you want to talk about going into this week before I get out of here? I mean, it's not like I have another show coming in to push me out, but I do see that you're new to the chat room. I would hate you to just miss the whole show. It was a quick show tonight. I went through it real quick. I will, it's just, I wish that I had a better grasp. Fast Eddie. Yeah, Carson Palmer's killing everybody, dude. Who's your backup? I mean, what were you able to do? Were you able to get anyone else that you could plug? Eli, okay, you're okay. You're rolling with Eli Manning. Give up on Carson Palmer. I'll tell you that right now. The Bengals, they just don't have it this year. They just don't have it. If they had that one decent game against the Giants, but they just don't have it. And then Carson Palmer has been beat up and just a nightmare, just a train wreck in Cincinnati this year. Jump ship. The only guy in Cincinnati worth holding on to is TJ Houshmandzadeh. No, Eddie, I'm on weekly. Every week at 8 o'clock Central Time, I'm on right here. I do this show right here.